Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back. It's Sunday night. It is here. In a week's time, we'll be sat here after the first week of the EFL season. This season starts on Friday, but Saturday for Sky Bet League One, and I cannot wait. We've done shows during the off-season, but now it's heating up. Tonight, we'll be going through the season. We'll be having a look at the transfers that have happened in the summer. We'll be looking forward to Saturday's games, all 12 of them in a bumper-packed episode. The new boys finally ready to start their campaign in Sky Bet League One. 7 new boys to look out for, new promotion favourites, new relegation favourites, but still League One and still upsets to be had by all, and still our favourite co-host on the channel. But unfortunately, Tom Chappell couldn't make it from 4-0 written all over it. So we've got Jake. Jake, how are we doing, my friend?
This isn't the first time I've been with you on today, Nappers, is it? I've been with you.
I'm getting a bit sick of you.
It feels like I've been with you all bloody day. No, mate, I'm good. Obviously, excited for the new season. New season brings new opportunities. Obviously, we've created a new podcast, and I've made my own channel. So I'm sure we'll get to plug in that later. But no, I'm looking forward to getting on the road on Saturday, mate. I never thought I'd be as excited to go to Bolton. Football does the maddest of things to you, doesn't it? Because it really is a bit of a bowl, isn't it?
Absolutely, and thank you for those who have joined us. Put your comments in if you can see and hear me okay, and your thoughts on your season so far. Thank you for those that have joined so far. Again, been a good summer period, really, and I've enjoyed the period of no football. But again, glad to get back to it now. Jake, obviously, you got a new channel over the summer. We will plug that later on, but channel 72 for anyone wanting to go and subscribe, the link is in the description. So again, but I will let Jake tell you more about that later on in the show. Here she is, our favourite Lincoln City fan, Sue. How are we, Sue? I hope you're all well. You're still friends with Jake for now. No spoilers. Anyway, we have got a new podcast as well, that League One podcast that you can go and find in the description down below. But before any more plugs happen, Lincoln City, overall, decent pre-season?
Yeah, I think so. You look at the teams that we've played a lot of non-league teams, and we stepped it up this week and played Grimsby and Rotherham. We lost both of those games, but got minutes in the legs of the first team players. And like I said to you, Wardy and Tom on the pod earlier, we've got significant amount of minutes to the first team's legs, and that's, I feel, what is most important, rather than, you maybe been in Pompey's shoes where you've got a load of good players, but they've only played one 90-minute together. So I think it's been good. We've won a couple of games. We beat Boston 7-0. We've drawn with Kings Lynn and been to Lincoln United. So it's been a real mix, but it doesn't replace the real stuff, does it? You stand there on a pre-season, on the sidelines at pre-season, you go, it's just like a glorified training session, isn't it? And you really want to get into the new stuff. But no, like you said, 5 new players, all on permanent contracts. Another due to be coming in tomorrow, which I have no inside information on whatsoever. It's looking good.
Absolutely, and same for Fleetwood, looking solid defensively. I will wait to talk about Fleetwood later on. But what's going to happen in this live stream, we're going to discuss 2 minutes on each game for the next 24 to 25 minutes. And then we will come to some questions. We've got some questions to spice up the live stream as well. So if you can like the stream, that will massively be beneficial. So smash a like if you haven't already. Barnsley versus Port Vale. Now, Barnsley start off at Oakwell. Look, I think we've all been a bit harsh on Barnsley this I know I certainly have in my 1 to 24. Jake's will be out, I think in the next 24, 48 hours. But Barnsley at home last year was strong. Barnsley in League One are always strong. Port Vale, it's the worst possible start you could have, in my eyes, to go to a good side away from home, but no pressures on you. It's going to be a huge, huge ask for Port Vale to get something. But Barnsley, new manager, couple of new players, maybe not quite as good as they were 3 months ago, but if you think about it, they've only lost, obviously, they lost the manager and Mads Anderson. Do you think that has made them significantly weaker?
Yes, I do. Michael Duff, I've been speaking about Michael Duff to you Nappers for the last 2 years when he was at Cheltenham and when he was at Barnsley, how massive he was for Cheltenham. And, you look at the drop-off from Cheltenham when Michael Duff left and, you're looking at Barnsley potentially going through a similar process. But it's more on Michael Duff. Anderson's a great defender, and whether he deserves a Premier League move is a little bit out of the question. I would argue that maybe perhaps didn't, but Leyton have taken the punt on him. I look at the squad and I look at the players that they've brought in. I'm excited by some of them, but not all of them. I won't lie. The likes of Killip doesn't really excite me. Corey O'Keefe didn't pull up any trees at Forest Green last year either, so it's going to be interesting. But I would consider them significantly weaker.
Port Vale, they have signed quite well, but I think Andy Crosby in charge as the manager, I think that kind of is why, if Darryl Clark was still in charge, you might find him a bit where Burton are in people's predictions, really, or even Bristol Rovers, Exeter. But I think Andy Crosby, obviously it's an unknown, but signings of Connor Ripley, James Wilson looks like he's coming back to the football club. They signed quite a few others as well. I think Connor Grant's a great signing. They have got good players, and I do think they're stronger than they were 12 months ago. But their issue is, I think there's so many other teams that are around them that have strengthened. And I certainly think Lincoln have improved. I certainly think Oxford have massively improved. Fleetwood have massively improved. Stevenage have come up. They've improved. And all of a sudden then, I don't think that they were probably a top 12 side for the best part of 6 months last year, probably better than 9 or 10 teams. I now only think maybe they're better than 4 or 5 teams, which would be enough. But I think Port Vale fans will want to push on.
Yeah, I think Vale fans will see the weakened league as perhaps an opportunity for them to claim a bit of territory and head up the league. Before January, they were in pretty good shape to do so. They were flirting about 9th. They were nowhere near the playoffs, but they were top of that sort of next bracket of teams, weren't they? And ultimately, they after the January window, they must have fell off the cliffs of Dover because they went straight into the Channel and didn't really perform. And like you say, Andy Crosby is the thing that's pushing me back on Port Vale. But I like some of the business you've said. Connor Ripley, Connor Grant, obviously Jason Luttweiler quite well from his time at Fleetwood. Experience, they've brought in some of the experienced lads as well, Kofi Barmer and Ollie Arblaster that are new to the league. So we'll have to wait and see. They could take the league by storm. But I just can't get behind Port Vale like I could maybe if Darryl Clark was in charge. But that's not to say, Ben, that an unknown, untested manager is going to do no good, because obviously we've both got untested managers before they really came into Fleetwood and Lincoln respectively. Mark and Scott didn't have a huge deal of pedigree, so it could well work in Port Vale's favour. But I feel like Port Vale and a couple of teams that I've certainly got down at bottom have fallen victim to the bottom half of League Two of League One getting closer to the top half. And they're just one that I think might struggle next year.
Absolutely. I want you to get your comments in below and who you're fancying for each of these games. The interaction does help the channel out a lot. So if you can get your predictions in below, that'd be appreciated. Blackpool Burton now. Burton had a very good kind of transfer window. They brought Cole Stockton into the football club. They brought quite a lot of players. I think they brought Jasper Moon in. They've improved in several areas. Jake Caprice, Jamal Blackman, both from Exeter experience. I think Exeter wanted to keep Jamal Blackman, but obviously didn't end up going that way. Again, Burton are stronger. Dino Mamrie has got a full season now, and he always improves teams. He's improved Stevenage, he improved Nuneaton Borough, he improved Oldham, and now he's improved Burton. That run they went on in the back end of the season, from January onwards, he looked dead. I think they were 5 or 6 points adrift, looked gone. I think they lost 5-0 to Morecambe on New Year's Day and were gone. And then Burton, got some great away wins. I think they won 3-2 at Fleetwood, 3-2 away at Port Vale, and beat Sheffield Wednesday. I think they beat Barnsley as well, and they were everyone's at the top favourite team, weren't they? Because they just pulled off these shocks, and it wouldn't surprise me if they went to a Blackpool side, who we'll come to in a minute, and got something.
Were they everyone's favourite team at the top, mate? I think someone else had a better record against the top 6 than Burton did last year, but won't go too much into it. But no, like you, I don't think there is a better man motivator as a manager in this league than Dino Manria. You know, you look at the players that he's had at his previous clubs, and they've all wanted to run through brick walls for him. And I really think the recruitment's been spot on. Obviously, Cole Stockton is the gem, isn't he? He's the one that's going to push them forward. But you add into squad depth with the likes of Raheem Harper had a really good campaign. He's been with Exeter and he's been at Ipswich, and Mason Bennett stepping down from the Championship. He's got a point to prove after leaving Millwall. Steve Seddon is a steady League One left back as well, and Jake Caprice, Jasper Moon, two of the newer ones, really interesting. So I feel like Burton, a lot of people have gone with Burton as dark horses. I don't think they're quite going to make the top six, but I definitely think they're going to significantly improve on last season. And, that you could maybe look at putting them similar to where we finished last year, where Charlton finished, that's for sure.
The thing is with Burton, they've not been, if you look at the last few years, they started poorly, ended really well under Jimmy Floyd, started the next season really well. They've only been really good for kind of like an 8-month period, like a 7 to 8 month period. They've not been good enough for 9-10 months, which is the season. And they haven't done that in a full league season. If they can pull those results all together, they could get into the top six because you've shown the capability, and Burton I think will do just fine next year. Blackpool, and like mentioned, by Mark, before they brought in a new sporting director. Now, under Ben Mansfield, it wasn't working, was it? Let's be honest with you. It was quite toxic. David Downer, sporting director. They've also brought Neil Critchley back into the football club, which is a move that I don't think some Blackpool fans wanted, if I'm honest with you, because he was a bit of a snake, as you call it, to go to a number 2. I can understand reasons, and I kind of thought Neil Critchley probably thought this squad isn't good enough. And it wasn't, let's be honest. I moved on before kind of maybe he got into the firing line. But you look at Nathan Jones, what he did. He left Luton, was more hated than Neil Critchley is at Blackpool right now. He went back and did a brilliant job and was a massive reason why Luton got promoted. I think similar could happen with Neil Critchley. Obviously, they've done some decent business. We all knew they were going to lose Jerry Yates, didn't we? But they brought in Kyle Joseph, who didn't put many trees at Oxford, but still scored 9 goals in the struggling side. They brought Ollie Norburn in, who we know full about. He was brilliant for Shrewsbury, was excellent for Peterborough. Apparently, they bidded a £500,000 for Scott Banks, who really impressed me last season. And they just, bringing a good squad together. Pennington as well. Blackpool are one of those. Although the 3 or 4 sure, you always fancy them to get into the playoffs, don't you?
Yeah, of the 3 clubs coming down, they're by far the one in the best position to realistically build a challenge for next season. Obviously, Neil Critchley had the feel-good factor at Blackpool that year. They got into the Championship and they beat us in the playoffs. I think they came comfortably mid-table in the Championship, and it was then that they appointed Appleton and Mick McCarthy. It sort of all went downhill. But I agree. I think some of Blackpool's business has been great. Obviously, they've been linked with Owen Moxon as well from Carlisle. I don't know if that's going to progress, but that would be a pretty good squad signing as well. I think he got 25 goal contributions from midfield last year. The only player who was behind was Kevin De Bruyne, who's probably been the best midfielder the Premier League seen in the last 10 years. So, I like Blackpool in terms of this game against Burton. You probably put them as favourites if it's Bloomfield Road, I think. And Blackpool, I think, will be strong at home. They've got a really good support base. I think the crowds, the sets of supporters are one of the best in the country. So, looking forward to seeing how Blackpool get on this year. I think they're going to do pretty well.
Absolutely. That North Stand does get rocking and really is a 12-man at times. And a bit like Lincoln, it's not a small ground, it's not a big ground, but again, it's kind of like 10,000 making the noise of 50,000 at times. And sometimes that's all you need. You only need a small number to make a bit of noise, as we both know, really. I think Fleetwood sometimes, they take 100 away, and the amount of comments you get saying you made the noise of 1,000, and it's all about that core spot, and that could be crucial for them this year. We're going to go into Bolton against Lincoln now, and Bolton, I think first of all, obviously I don't know if anyone in the comments knows, £28 for a ticket. I think it's absolutely scandalous. I think Reading are doing similar. They've moved away fans, Reading, to charge them more, but get home fans more close into the atmosphere. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm always in the minority of And it should be 10, 15, 20. 20 for an adult, 15 for a pensioner/student, £10 if you're under 18. That should be set and capped. You get a lot more fans in. But Bolton will be back by 20,000 fans. And the business has been really good, hasn't it? They brought Baxter in, Cogley at right back, and Daniel Undu signed permanently. Mendes Gomez is coming to the football club. Bolton are a lot of people's favourites for the top two, aren't they? You can see why. And last season, held them in good stead, didn't they? They didn't perform in the playoffs. I think maybe that's why some fans are maybe not quite so sure on Bolton, because the only issue with Bolton, I don't think they've got maybe enough goals like a Portsmouth do or a Derby do at this moment in time. I still think Derby need a couple of strikers.
I'd argue against that, but I think Bolton definitely have got the goals in the team. You look at the forward options that they've got: Dion Charles, John Daddy Bodvarsson, and Daniel Lundeloo, Cameron Jerome still in the building. Mendes Gomez is going to add to that. You've got goals in midfield from Dempsey and Morley.
They're very solid, aren't they? They're very solid.
Yeah, they are, and I don't want to give away the podcast at all, but they are by far my winners from the transfer window. I think they've had an excellent window, and I think the one of the bunch, obviously, the main statement signing is Carlos Mendes Gomez, who had a great year at Fleetwood, but I think Chris Cogley is going to be their best signing by some distance. He was one of the best players in the division below last year at struggling Tranmere. Really athletic, strong, pacey, and I think he's going to go a long way to filling the hole that Conor Bradley has left, and obviously James Trafford has left as well. So interesting. I'll read the ticket. I have paid for an under 23, even though I am 25. So I have got away with it a little bit. I'm not paying 28 quid to go and watch it. I'm not doing it.
Fair enough. And Lincoln, your boys, you've had a decent window. I think like Fleetwood, and we said this on that League One podcast. If you want to go and follow it, me, Tom, Jake and Jack, the four Musketeers, the four League One vloggers, go and subscribe down below. It's on Linktree. You can go and follow all our links. If you want to go and listen to more League One episodes, we've just recorded today. That should be out tomorrow on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Store, all the good things. But Lincoln, your boys, like Fleetwood, not many players have come in the building, but you didn't need many players. You just needed maybe 4 or 5 just to come into your first team, maybe a couple more to add to the squad depth. You got rid of a lot of loan players. You had 7 on loan last year, only 5 in the matchday squad. But you've really improved that squad. You've got goals now in Tyler Walker. And you'd fancy yourself going to Bolton, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it gets any harder going away to one of the title favourites on opening day. But a fun fact that I have found out that I think 9 of the last 10 teams that Bolton have played on opening day have gone on to make the playoffs. So that gives me a lot of hope.
Is that even in that when they've been in the League Two and the Championship?
Yeah, that's been every single season for the last 9 out of the last 10 years. That team they play on.
To see the team that they didn't.
No doubt. Yeah, well, I don't know. It would be interesting, but I have a feeling it might well be 9 out of 11, but we don't know. But I think it's been a strong window from a Lincoln point of view. We lost a lot of key players over the summer. That's probably the 2 biggest being Carl Rushworth, who's set to join Swansea on a season-long loan. He'll be great for them in the Championship. And Regan Poole, who is the best defender at this level, and no one can tell me otherwise because he's fantastic. And I've heard it every single day from Tom and from Dylan, his mate, that Regan Poole is different gravy. And I know that. I've known him for 2.5 years. I've told this man that Regan Poole is better than Josh Earl. I think he's finally come to agree with me. But no, the players that we have brought in, I'll go through them. Lucas Jensen had a pretty good season at Accrington by all accounts. Kept, I think, 10 clean sheets in 30 games for Accrington, who conceded a lot of goals last year. It's a pretty good return. Jaden Brown, who played a massive part in Sheffield Wednesday's promotion towards the back end of last season. Alistair Smith was Sutton United's best player last season in League Two. Really impressed me in pre-season as well. And then read to the wine. When the crowd say Rico, Kit. He's been good in pre-season. Portsmouth fans have slated him and slagged him off and said he's this, he's that. But I think he's been brilliant. I think he's what we need. And then Tyler Walker. Well, Tyler Walker scores goals, Ben. 17 in half a season.
It's getting a habit now, isn't it? Where Porter fans say one thing and We think the totally opposite. And this is the one thing I think where football fans, Portsmouth expect totally different things. Because the Portsmouth Football Club, the massive football club, should not be in League One. They expect to get 100 points. They expect to get top 2, but win most weeks. Play entertaining football on the front foot and players who score 25 goals and be relentless. I think if Rico Wackey went to go and say if he got 7 goals, 7 assists for you next year, you'd be delighted with that, wouldn't you? Yeah. If Tyler Walker scored 15 goals for you next year, although he scored more in the first half, I think you'd say, I'd take 15, but I know he can get more because of what he can offer to the team. Whereas Portsmouth, it's kind of a slightly different expectation. So fans will see players totally different. We, at the same time, where Lincoln and Fleetwood were both struggling, 2 seasons back, and you signed Marcus, we signed Ellis Harrison, 2 similar players, hold it up, striker, bring others into play. They didn't pull up any trees, but they scored enough goals to keep us both in the division, just about. But if we didn't sign Ellis Harrison, we wouldn't have stayed in League One. That's a fact. Yeah. He scored some vital goals for Fleetwood. You're 3-3 at home to Plymouth in the last minute. You're 1-0 away at Doncaster, that sent Doncaster down. That's already a couple of goals that I'm mentioning that, you kind of think. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Lincoln can go to Bolton, and I think Lincoln will set up the exact same way. Go to Stray, and Bolton will have to break you down. And it could be a frustrating afternoon. We'll go to Cambridge, Oxford, because I think Oxford have had a really good summer window. They've addressed in every single area. They've brought a goalkeeper, and they've signed fullbacks, they've signed defenders. John Thornley, for me, I think is the smartest signing of the lot. Ruben Rodriguez is the best signing of the lot because he's a flair player. He's going to get you goals from midfield. But John Thornley knows a football club. He's a top-end League One defender. I think anyone, maybe he'd walk into every League One team, bar 2, maybe 3 teams, in my eyes. They've improved up front. They brought Harrison, who will score goals. They've kept Brannigan at the football club with ease, to be fair. There's been no real rumours as of yet. I'm sure there will be one from possibly Blackpool before the window ends. They do like sniffing around him. And Liam Manning, some of the football you've had, I've seen some clips of them passing the ball yesterday, and literally they look pure, don't they? They weren't that under Liam Manning last year because they had to get results and stay up. Now is the time to really cook. Yeah,
and we've heard a lot of this from our massive mate Wardy. He's been massive on Oxford. We've not heard the end of it, have we? He's literally not shut up about it yesterday. They beat QPR, if anyone knows, 5-0 in a pre-season friendly. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm interested to bring that in for the pod next week, so we'll have to wait and see. But for me, you can talk about Ruben Rodriguez being the signing of the lot, but for me, I think it's actually James Beadle, the goalkeeper on loan from Brighton. Had a fantastic spell with Crewe last season, and like I've said to you, Ben, I've said this on this podcast and on this live show so many times. With a lone goalkeeper, I just think you can do so much better. You can get a player that's too good for you, and James Beadle is exactly that at Oxford. Probably could be pushing in on the Brighton first team, but yeah, really impressed with Oxford, and have a feeling that Wardy could be pretty excited come May. But again, they've addressed every single area. I think they maybe got 2 or 3 to bring in, but overall, Liam Manning's worked his business, and you look at the ins and then comparing to the outs, they've not lost a great deal, but they've brought in a lot of quality.
Absolutely. And we'll go to Cambridge in just a second, because obviously we're doing 2 minutes on the game and a couple of minutes on each team as well. So we try and get as much detail as we can. League One looks dreadful this year. As much as I can see where you're going with that, I'm looking forward to it more this year than last year, because last year it's not enjoyable when you've got Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, who you knew would be up there. You had Portsmouth as always, Bolton, Barnsley, big football club. Plymouth did very, very well on a limited budget. You knew, you'd have sides like that. But I'm looking at it now and I'm kind of thinking, Barnsley will have a go. Blackpool will have a go. You have those clubs, but you're not absolutely 100% sure, bar maybe a couple, and you're not even sure on them because you thought Derby and they missed out on the playoffs last year. Anything can happen in League One this year, and it's so wide open, and you're seeing a better transfer window. We discussed this earlier. You're seeing a better transfer window all around because of these players are going to different League One football clubs. Cole Stockton going to Burton, Lewis Wing going to Reading, Northampton, signing very well. They've just haven't they just signed Ryan Leonard on loan as well from Brighton?
Mark
Lennon on loan from Brighton, who's a good player, was linked with numerous Championship and League One football clubs. Charlton are signing Alfie May, Pursuit Kamara, they're back in the race. Oxford are back in the race. You could even look at your Burtons, Lincolns are going to push on. It's going to be a lot better this year for the neutral, believe me. But
Cambridge, Ben.
Cambridge signed okay. They've lost Nib, they've lost Smith. That's the one thing, and I'm sure many Cambridge fans were thinking, why can't you just stay with me? But unfortunately, didn't. Gone to Reading, gone back to Reading, and Reading have nicked two of the better players. Do you think this time we'll see Cambridge maybe drop off? Because we saw Morecambe do the Great Escape a few years ago, and then obviously struggle. The only reason they stayed up last year was a good last 5 games and a good first 5 games. So if they don't start too great, maybe. Still got the blind side, but...
No, they haven't, because he's gone to Doncaster.
Oh, yes, he has gone to Doncaster. But forget that. They don't have many goals. They don't have many goals in the side at all.
No, and without trying to give away my 1 to 24, Cambridge have lost the spine of their team, really. They've lost... Meatov in goal. They've lost Lloyd Jones as centre back. They've lost Joe Ironside, the centre forwards, and Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs that will play either side of him. They've lost a lot of quality. And you look at the ones that they've brought in. Jack Stevens isn't a bad goalkeeper for the level. I think he had a pretty good loan spell at Port Vale last year. Danny Andrew is someone that you know well. Obviously, he's not far. He's from not far from Cambridge. He's from from Kings Lynn sort of way, which is only about an hour up the road, so he might play his best football now that he knows where he's settled, similar to Ollie Norburn going back up to the northwest. Sully Kaikai, I like that. Sully Kaikai, I'm a big fan
Jack
of that.
pulled that off to a treat, didn't he?
Didn't he? He just
about... I made Jack Wolf, he did a video, cracking video. Go and recommend it if you've not already. Everyone that a League One club should sign, and suggested Sully Kaikai. It made sense, to be fair. Obviously, I'm not going to say it's not as good. It's not. It's an easy shout, but it still had to be made, didn't it? He's strong around that area, been playing down that area, good player, and it wasn't a few years ago where he was scoring, goals for Blackpool.
Yeah, and then Ghassan Hadmi, obviously, I worry about him. Obviously, he was on fire at Pompey in pre-season, got signed there, then went to Burton, did okay for Burton, went to Ipswich. Was never going to cut the mustard at Ipswich, and went back to Burton second half of last season. I can't remember him pulling up many trees whatsoever. No. Didn't really impress me. So, yeah, without saying Cambridge are going to go down, they're not going to have a good season. I think it's going to be, unfortunately, a season where they're going to struggle even worse than they did last year. I don't think there's an escape route this time.
Agree. 70 watching, 21 likes. If we can get them up to 50 likes, that'd be massively appreciated by everyone who does like. It does help the stream grow and comment as well. We are on the road to 11,500 subscribers. If you could subscribe down below as well, that would mean a lot. So like, subscribe, all that jazz. As we go on to Carlisle versus Fleetwood. The worst time to play Carlisle because the ground will be rocking. They've signed really well. They've signed players that got them up last year, haven't they? Let's be honest. Alfie McCormack's come back into the football club. Obviously was at Leeds for a number of years, never really worked out there. They've just brought Ben Barkley back to the football club. Sean Maguire's coming in, who for me I think is an excellent signing. I speak to my mate is a Coventry fan and he wasn't a big fan of him. And I went, League One's totally different. You're playing in front two with, Gokeres, and you like strikers to hold up and be big and be physical and hold the ball up. He doesn't suit that style of football, but he can get in behind. You've got Joe Garner still at the football club. I think Sam Lavelle is an excellent signing. The only one downside, I think, is losing Morgan Feeney, but they signed Sam Lavelle, which I think is a very, very good replacement on a free transfer. Didn't really work out Burton injuries, but at Morecambe, he played a number of games and very experienced pro, good athlete, and will lead by example.
Yeah, just to pick up on the ones that you didn't mention, Dan Butterworth, obviously someone that you know from from your Fleetwood days. I think it was fair to say he was more productive at Port Vale than he was at Fleetwood. But
I don't think the style of football at Fleetwood did not suit him. Again, if we played a hoofball game, Port Vale played into him and played to his style. He's a progressive footballer.
I remember he scored the goal in a 1-0 win for Vale over Lincoln at Vale Park early in the season. It was actually pretty good. Dylan McGooch played at this level for Sunderland, I believe.
Yes.
Didn't really stand out in the trees there, but might then pull something out. And then Finn Back, loanees from Nottingham Forest have been pretty good in recent years, not to mention a specific one that's worth 70 million quid or whatever they're tied in for. But Finn Back has got good reviews from the Nottingham Forest Academy. He's one that's potentially they've got their eye on to make the first team in a couple of years. So, yeah, I like Carlisle's business. Obviously, they've lost some big players, haven't they? Amari Patrick leaving for Sutton is a massive blow. Scored the goal in the playoff final. Christian Dennis going up the road to Tranmere, top scorer last year, disappearing. You start to worry. I think they're maybe another number 9 away from it just at this moment in time. And Joel Senior was a massive part for them last year. He's gone up the road to Morecambe. So it's going to be really interesting, mate, how Carlisle get on. But like you say, going to Brunton Park first, I do not envy you whatsoever.
Here he is. Again, Fleetwood, I'll come quickly on Fleetwood because we look very good defensively. We're going to play a back three, which it's our best formation. It's the right formation, the wrong players. We've probably got, in my opinion, to suit it, the back six suit it. We need another defender minimum. Midfield 3, we need another midfielder. We need something else in there because at the minute it's looking a little bit bland. We're not getting the best out of Danny Mayer out of it in pre-season. Pre-season means absolutely nothing. We need another striker, in my opinion. However, then our best creative player is Phoenix Patterson. All of a sudden, you're going to shove him out left wing back. He's not as productive. You'd probably had a Montgomery's going to come in. Where do you put Phoenix? And it's like, well, then you're going to change to a 4-2-3-1 and totally change. It's going to be interesting. Fleetwood, I see struggling next year. I do. Anyone that will comment on Fleetwood about the ownership issues and that will affect us absolutely will not affect Fleetwood Town next season. I'm absolutely certain on that. Maybe in a year's time it will, but this season will be absolutely fine. We're better than number of football clubs. Some fans putting us in their bottom 4. It's the same every year. It's because we're Fleetwood and we're small. It is the same reason, but I think Fleetwood's team is settled. We've not brought many in. We've not had to bring many in. People are saying Fleetwood Town have lost players. Fleetwood Town have lost 9 players this summer. 4 were on loan. 3 of which weren't nowhere near the team. And Alex Cairns didn't play for Fleetwood Town at all last year. Wasn't even in the squad last season. Dan Batty was nowhere near the side for the best part of last season. Danny Andrew, we wanted to move on from Danny. There was no one really that was gutted about leaving the football club. So I'm happy with the pre-season. We need 3 or 4 more, but we'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. And you look at some of the players, you know how Danny Mayer and Ryan Broom are going to play. It's just you don't know about Ryan Graydon and Montgomery. They might have good reviews from where they've come from, but it's going to be interesting. I think those people tipping Fleetwood to go down are only doing so on the position of Andy Pilley. I think that's wrong. It looks like it's all been a smooth transition over. They've still got some very good League One players. They've still got an excellent front 2 of Jack Marriott and Jaden Stockley, who are going to score goals for now. But look, I think I've got Fleetwood to be absolutely fine. I don't think you'll be as high as you were last year for reasons, but I think you still comfortably stay up. I think you get to 50 points by April and be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Leyton Orient signed very well, haven't they? Joe Piggott's come in the door, still only 29, had a bad 2 years. Otherwise, if he didn't have those bad 2 years, he'd probably be playing in the Championship by now. He scored goals in a struggling Wimbledon side, and if he can reframe that and he's the main man again, I think they'll be all right. They lost Smythe, they lost Vigouroux, but replaced them pretty well, I think. I think Ethan Galbraith is is one for me that is a brilliant signing. And they've kept the core of the team by losing the two players that we've mentioned. Richie Wellens is a good coach. He's done very well in League One and League Two before. Didn't get a chance for Salford, but who does? And did very well to win promotion last year. Didn't really get the recognition they deserved because they weren't exactly, scoring 5 a game, with the perfect champions like a Wrexham were in the National League. But what they did do was get results at the right time, be better than everyone else, do the right things at the right time. And I don't think Leyton are in any danger at this moment in time of going down.
No, I'm agreeing with you. And sorry, I am just sending a message to our Sue. She's a little bit concerned. But
What's wrong? What's wrong?
No idea. Look, just on Leyton Orient's business, I think Ethan Galbraith actually is a really clever signing. But yeah, I like it. Dan Adjie scored goals at League Two level last year. Max Sanders has done it at this level for us for a couple of years, maybe not been so consistent. Getting the really good loans in. Idris El Mizuni, who was at on loan from Ipswich last year, was a massive part of why they won the title. Again, to get him back over other League One clubs was massive. And then I actually think Sol Bryn is a really good pickup. He's someone that I would have looked at from a Lincoln point of view. Had a really productive year with Swindon. And often you find the best loanee goalkeepers from League Two tend to get a move up to League One the year after. I think of Carl Rushworth, Josh Griffiths, Alex Palmer have all done that, and have all ended up playing in Lincoln for a reason. So I really like it. Obviously, they've lost Paul Smythe and Lawrence Figueroa. That's massive for Leyton Orient. But I think if Orient can consolidate at this level, I think they'll be happy with that. And last time they're at this level, they fell through the trapdoor twice, didn't they? So anything that means they secure a League One football next year would be massive for them.
And just on Charlton quickly, what Alfie May and Pashut Kamara coming through the door, Harry Easted, Lloyd Jones, Terry Taylor coming in through the door. That's just 5 players to mention a few. And there's probably still a few off, and they've kept the services of Campbell and Leeburn, which are very good, acquisitions as well. Fraser's still there, Kirk's still at the football club. Strong side. Yeah.
I think Charlton are the ones that have brought in the most quality. Alfie May is somebody who scored a bucket full of goals for a team further down the table. You put him around better players, you think the service will get better. Pantouche Kamara was fantastic for Plymouth Argyle. I don't think there's any way getting around it. I think when he went to Ipswich, he was massive. Injury really hampered his time at Portman Road, and that's why they've been able to get him. Obviously, they've still got McGrandles, who's a player that's played at the top end of this level as well. I mean, I don't know how he's going to get on. But Harry Eisted, you were at the playoff final, Ben. Unfortunately, I wasn't there this year, but he was man of the match for overall, had a fantastic performance. So the only thing that you're worried about, and I know this was said on T-Lop as well, that you worry because they're putting in a brand new spine of a team. And when that happens, that often can take a little bit of time to get going and get moving. So those teams that are playing Charlton early season, I think they've got away with one. So yes, thanks for reminding me about
very good player.
I absolutely adore Teo Eden. He's not someone that I spoke about earlier, but just such a versatile player who is a centre midfielder who's very tidy on the ball, but is very good at left back, and that's where we played him at left back, and he was so good at moving us up the pitch quickly. So hopefully Charlton play a back 4 and he can play at left back. He'll revolutionise you. So yeah, look, Charlton have brought in the most quality. I don't think there's a doubt about that.
Absolutely great signing in. Scott Banks would be a very, very good player. We mentioned that earlier. 25 goal contributions, as Jake said, and very, very talented player. And Blackpool will be getting him on a steal for £500,000. Might have to up it a bit because I think clubs will know that you've got £2.5 million in your pocket. I'd take an Easter 2 quality keeper. Says Mark, very, very good goalkeeper, steady, and didn't really get the recognition he deserved last year. We're coming on to the back half of the fixtures now. We'll go to Wigan, and I've been disappointed by people's predictions on Wigan because people are saying they're relying on youth. The ownership is up in the air. No, it's not. They're settled now. Look, Watmore has had to leave the football club due to reasons with the other owner. Apparently, apparently something to do with a contract that wasn't quite right. But again, the new owner has come in and sorted it all out. They've still got the manager there as well, which is, Sean Maloney did a very good job in my opinion, in difficult circumstances. They were only down with, I think, maybe 1 game to go, 2 games to go, and they should have been down a lot earlier than that, in my eyes, especially with the deductions they had. And they look steady. I think they'll do okay. I think they'll finish closer to the players than the bottom. They've still got, Theo Astegard. They've still got, I know Will Keane left to go to Preston, but they still got Callum Lang, still got McGuinness. They brought in Sean Clare, which is a very, very good signing. Callum McManaman's come into the football club as well. Look, they're not brilliant, but there's no pressure on them this year, where there has been in other years.
Yeah, no, I agree, Ben. And like you say, some of the recruitment's been fantastic. And to say that we've got a loanee from Bayern Munich in the division is
scary.
It is. I think you're absolutely right. You look at some of the players they've brought in recently. Liam Shaw's had a couple of spells at Morecambe and at Sheffield Wednesday. Kel Watts has been with Peterborough last year, I think, and Plymouth Argyle. I know we had a loan spell at Wigan before as well. So a good signing there. I think Johnny Smith's a good addition as well. And like you, I don't think Wigan should be in any danger whatsoever. I think they'll be absolutely fine. They'll maybe just have to perform a little bit better than the clubs that they're around to try and ensure that they put distance between them and the bottom 4.
Derby have signed really well, though, haven't they? Callum Elder, Ward's come in, your Jones and Abraham, Washington, Vickers. That's just a few to mention. They've sorted out defensively. They've got a striker in. Paul Warne has got his squad in now.
It's a joke.
They replaced David McGoldrick quite yet. I think if they get a couple more in, which I think they will do, I think they're cooking. And Paul Warne, 3 promotions out of 5 is a very, very good record.
Yeah, it's not really fair, is it, Ben? Derby County are probably by far the biggest club in this league, and you're looking at the players that they've all brought in. Nelson played at a level above. Callum Elder won this league with Hull. Joe Ward got promoted out of this league with Posh. Sonny Bradley been promoted out of this league with Luton and has been promoted to the Premier League. Josh Vickers got promoted with Rotherham. Connor Washington played with Rotherham in the Championship. And Kane Wilson was player of the division the year below when Anta moved a 7-figure move to Bristol City 12 months ago. So, look, it's a really exciting window. Like you, I think Derby have perhaps not yet recruited in forward areas like they'd want to. I think they imagine they might turn to loanees for those positions, but we'll see. But I just think Derby are going to win a lot of games 1-0, exactly like Paul Warne's Rotherham did. They won a lot of games, a lot of tight games, and they're going to win enough games 1-0, Ben, to get promoted because they're just that good. It's not fair, Ben. Like I said, it's just scary. You think the manager, the players are going to have on the pitch, they're going to be backed by 28, 30,000 every week. It's going to be, I'd say anyone that goes to Pride Park and picks up a point, I've done extremely well. You finish above Derby County, you win the league for me. Yeah,
100% agree. And Paul Warne, if they go up, it's down to the manager. I think they've got a great side, but they've got one of the best managers in League One. And obviously, I'm so glad there was stupid rumours on Twitter, and the way they responded, Gaffer, brilliant. Northampton, I'll let you cover them, and I'll cover Stevenage. But Northampton, not too many additions, but Leonard coming in, that changes the complexion, doesn't it? And they brought Patrick Brough from Barrow, who's played over 150 times there. Obviously, they brought Bowie back in on loan. He only scored 5 goals last year, but again, a smart signing. Not too many have come in, but not too many have gone out.
Yeah, I don't think Northampton had masses to do, if I'm honest. And I think, in a way, I have stole this from a Northampton podcast, but I think their promotion is perhaps the most impressive out of all 4 of the teams that have come up.
Yes.
You think about what they went through a year ago. When they'd done their bit, they'd won their game. I think they were at Barrow, actually, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And Bristol Rovers pulled out 7 goals to beat Scunthorpe.
And the last minute as well.
Bloody Scunthorpe. I hate them. I'm fed up with them. But I think to get that close, to have it taken away from you, to come back the next season and still boss it like Northampton did. They were absolutely fantastic, and like you, I agree. They didn't need to do a lot. They've brought in Brough, Manny Monthe, Tyree Simpson's a really interesting one. I think he was pretty good when he was on loan at Swindon. So look, I think Northampton did a lot of their business towards the back end of last year by signing their big players to contracts. I know McWilliam signed a contract, Ben Fox signed a new deal. Max Dyce and Sean Dyche is in the ranks there. So for me, Northampton should be fine. And I think the same as all clubs that are going to be down there, they need a bit more proven League One quality. But Patrick Brough, Lincoln lad, really like him as a footballer, fantastic lad. Manny Month, maybe someone that I'm not too sure about, but you think about what his main job is going to be in a Northampton side: head the ball, kick the ball away. Manny Month is pretty good at that. Was pretty good for that Tranmere. So I like Northampton. I really like Northampton. I think they're comfortably going to stay up this year.
Good call as well. Stevenage signed a lot as well. Louis Thompson, Ben Thompson, Nathan Thompson, Steve Evans as manager. They've got an experienced side. Exactly. Harry Anderson's come into the football club as well.
What a boy.
They've signed a lot of experienced players of good ages between 26 and 34. Steve Evans knows League One, knows League Two, better in League Two than League One. He's going to be direct. It's going to be horrible to play against. It's going to have to be good at home. But again, it's going to be a good opportunity for Stevenage to get up and running. Portsmouth, Jake. Nice. They've signed bucket loads, including Regan Poole, including Anthony Scully, including Gavin White, including Norris, including Sean Essie, Kamara, all these players. And they're going to have to, and I hate this word, I'm going to use it, gel. It's the worst word in football. I don't know why anyone chooses to constantly use it, but it's the only word I've got right now. They've still got a good core as well, Colby Bishop, your Paddy Lanes, those types of players who did well for them in the back end last year under John Messinio. Again, bit of a weird pre-season. We won't cover that. We've already done that earlier on. But what do you think of the Portsmouth? This time has to be the time. You've gone out, spent the money, don't care if it's free transfers. They're spending big money on wages. They've got 15,000 season tickets behind them. It's going to be hard, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've timed this impeccably well because Dill has just entered the chat and he's a massive, massive Pompey fan who I've had the pleasure of being on the phone to last couple of weeks. He's a really nice lad. Enjoyed walking around. We went for an Italian together, me and Dill, with Tom when we played them in Feb. So, yeah, look, I like Pompey's business. 12 is maybe a lot, considering they've still got to maybe bring in a couple more with loans. You may be looking at 13, 14, 15 new players through the building. Did their squad need 15 extra players? You look at the amount of players that they took out.
I think Charlton did it better. Charlton brought 7 in. I think Charlton brought 7 players in. Altogether, I think Charlton brought better quality players in and brought less in. Yes. I think Portsmouth decided to go down. We'll bring in quality, but we'll bring in North. And Charlton have gone, no, we'll stack the first 11, get a couple of subs because that'll do us. I think you look at it, man. I think the best 3 players have gone to Portsmouth, in my opinion. I think Scully, Regan Poole are excellent acquisitions, and Gavin White. But you've got Alfie May, you've got Pashut Kamara, you've got Joan, you've got Issa. They've done it different ways, but I slightly prefer Charlton. But Portsmouth have done it really well as well. It's going to take lots of time.
Yeah, I look at the outs, and there's not a lot, but look at the ins. There's so many. So Pompey have really stacked their squad. They've gone for the option of squad depth. You look at some of the players that have come in, the likes of Jack Sparks, the likes of Conor Shaughnessy, the likes of Christian Sadie, Cassini Yengi is an unknown quantity, Kamara, Terry Devlin. They're probably all going to be
good players.
Squad players. And to be honest, they're not bad names to bring off the bench. The area that I know that I've seen this on Pompey Twitter because I spoke to Tom and Dylan and Mr. Hancock as well. They're still missing a number 10. A number 10 would absolutely make this Pompey side probably the best that it could be. And I know they were interested in Tommy Lee. I know that's maybe a non-starter at the moment, but they still need a number 10. But yeah, I agree, Ben. I would prefer Charlton's business because they've looked at the key positions and bought, right, let's get the best one of all of them. And Pompey have just gone, you're available. Let's let's bring you in. And like we said earlier, they've not had enough time to gel. And John Mousinho spoke on Tuesday in the defeat at Wimbledon about teething issues, and it doesn't really bode well. I had a conversation with Dylan on the phone yesterday after they lost to Bristol City. Previously, I think he said they were going to go invincible on one of Wardley's videos, and then he spoke to me and said, "Jacob, I don't think we're going to win more than 2 games in all of August and September," which has, I mean, Dill is very overreactive. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be worried if I was a Pompey fan at this minute.
Yeah, I agree. Bristol Rovers, just quickly on them, because the business, you look at it, James Wilson's come in, George Friend, 34, 35 year olds, experienced played. You expect Joey Barton to sign those ilks. He's done it many times at Fleetwood and at Bristol Rovers. You look at, your Glenn Whelan, your Paul Coots, those types of players. He trusts them. He thinks they're a better quality than the younger lads, which different managers like different ways. And I'm not moaning at that. Luke Thomas is an excellent sign. He's still 24, 25. And in the first 3 months of last season, he was Barnsley one of the best players for me. And he got injured and was out for a long period of time. Barnsley struggled with that. Got to January, Barnsley were able to replace, get better players into the football club, improve the team, and they went on a good run. But Bristol Rovers, where do you see them at, just quickly? Because I think they've improved, but I don't think they've improved it enough in my eye. I think Joey Barton will tell you one thing, and if you're a Bristol Rovers fan, you'll believe it. You really will, and you'll get sucked in. But I don't see that squad. Giovanni Brown's coming to the football club as a football player, good player, but he needs to keep his head down. Joey Barton signed Ched Evans, who had previous as well, and did well in a football sense. That's all you can judge him on. I don't know where I see Bristol Rovers at this moment in time.
I think they've moved forward, but maybe not as quick as some of the teams that finished around them last year.
Yeah.
Look, I think that Giovanni Brown's a great player on his day, but like you said, all the contractual and the legal stuff, you'd be worried about signing him. Joey Barton don't care, does he? He's worked a contract and said, "You're one of the best players that we can attract, so come and play for us." And by all accounts, I mean, I spoke to Charlie a little bit, did a live stream with Charlie. He said he's kicked off pre-season pretty well. I think the main thing about Bristol Rovers would if they can keep Collins. Now, I've seen a few links. I know Stoke have been linked to Collins. If Bristol Rovers can get 2-3 million for Collins, that would be a fantastic bit of business for them. Similar to what they got for Clark Harris a couple of years ago. I think that's maybe the ceiling. But I mean, I'm really intrigued, mate, about the goalkeeper they brought in, Matt Cox from Brentford. Played with England under 20s. I mean, I watched Charlie's video on it, and a very good content creator, One Rovers vlog. So go and check him out. He does some really good stuff on Bristol Rovers. But Matt Cox, I think he played, and Charlie can correct me in the comments, I think he played away at Swansea in the second half. I think he played really well. So
he won at Swansea, didn't he?
Yeah, really intrigued to see how they get on. And they've got
a good pre-season.
They've got another lad from Brentford, Tristan Kramer, I want to say. And Brentford always have pretty good, top-notch young lads. We had Nico Jones on trial from Brentford on Tuesday night. I thought he was absolutely not world-class, but he was very good. So intrigued for Bristol Rovers. One to keep an eye on it, and maybe one that's potentially a little bit behind your other typical dark horses, but still a very good established side at this level.
Absolutely. I'm going to cover Posh, and I'll let you cover Reading as well. And on Peterborough, they've signed Haviland. What a player again. From Barnet, Jack Taylor has left the football club. The best player in League One in midfield last year. I don't care what anyone's... Connor Chaplin, yes. But as what Jack Taylor did was totally different to Connor Chaplin. He controls the midfield. He's quite a smallish player as well, but uses his frame and can turn on the ball, can move forward, glides with the ball. He is just an excellent footballer. And Loudmouth, who was in the chat earlier, told me in 2020 that boy will go and play in the Premier League. And ever since he stuck with me, that quote was always stuck with me. And every time we've watched him, my mate's gone, "Who's that?" And I went, and I've told him every single time he will go and play at the top, because I believe I saw him once. So for 20 minutes, I thought, yeah, top player.
Yeah.
And they've lost him, but they got a fee for him. They've lost Norburn, but again, that was always going to happen. Norris has gone. He was on loan. Ward's gone. Needed to get rid. Obviously, they've lost. I think they've lost Kent now, haven't they, as well? And who's gone over to? Was it Scotland? He went over as well.
Yeah, gone to Heart.
Yeah, Hearts, which is a blow. Don't get me wrong, but they've still got some good players at the back. They've still got some good players in midfield. They've signed, was it Archie Collins as well, which is which is an excellent signing. They've still got Johnson, Clark Harris. They've still got goals. They've still got that front three as well. So I think Peterborough will be fine this year. I think sometimes you overreact with them that they're going to lose players, but that's what Darren McAntee does. You've got a year left in your contract. We ship you out. It's all Johnson Clark Harris is going to start from them. He will score. He is annoying to watch if he's your team because he's lazy. He doesn't do much, but he scores 25 goals. And if you get a goal scorer that scores 25 goals, then if I'm honest with you, I think Erling Haaland, bar scoring goals, I kind of think, hang on a minute, what does he do? Do you know what I mean? But if you score goals and you put the ball in the back of the net, Posh will get into the playoffs. And, they've still got, still got a great front three, haven't they? For me, one of the best in the division. And they're going to go to a red inside on the opening day and, for me, going to cause problems. I think they could go and score 3 or 4.
And they've still got Ronnie Edwards, who is the Premier League player.
Ronnie! What a player.
My job to cover Reading then, is it? I see you've left me with a club in dire straits, Ben. I appreciate that.
And I have the good one. Look, they signed well, haven't they? Let's be honest.
Yes.
I do think, right, and I wanted to ask you this on the stream earlier, but we didn't get round to it. Do you think Reading knew this embargo was going to happen where they couldn't sign players for a little bit? I know they can't sign players for fees. So, because they didn't sign anyone, and 4 got over the line really quickly. Savage came in like that. Wing came in like that. Nibs came in this week. They signed them pretty much 4 in a week. And I kind of thought, hang on a minute, they're bringing in players all of a sudden really quickly now. Do you kind of think they were bringing them in before this deadline was going to be hit? Do you think they kind of knew they'd be punished a little bit?
I think they might have been expecting it. I've got a few mates from uni who are massive Reading fans. And I've been speaking to them about the situation. They've got a depleted squad. They need to bring in bodies quickly. My biggest concern with Reading is that they're going to be left at the end of the window with the ones that maybe everyone didn't want. So maybe the free agents that people that weren't massively keen on, or had baggage that people weren't really interested in. So you look at the 4 that they brought in, and for me, I think if you're looking at the quality player by player that they've brought in, for me, it's up there, similar, maybe not as good as, but very similar to the level of quality that Charlton have brought in.
Yeah.
Savage played I wouldn't say Savage played really well for Forest Green. He did okay at Forest Green, but he was in the
stood out because the rest of them weren't very good.
Yes, apart from Jordan Garrick. Lewis Wing, I've got big mates who is a Wycombe fan. He was expecting him to go up a level. Disappointed that he's gone to Reading, but it's a step up, isn't it? Wigan. I mean, I was crying that Regan Poole going to Pompey want a step up. It is a step up. Harvey Nibs and Sam Smith, 2 really good players. So I'm intrigued to see. Obviously, they've got this HMRC winding up order, so it's interesting to see how Reading are going to play it. But I think you're right. They did bring in those 4. I think they knew what was coming. I look at the players they've lost as well. George Puskas, who I don't think you can call a loss anyway, but gone to Genoa. Tom Ince, the ridiculous release clause, he was massive for them last year. And I'm really, I want to go big on Reading because of the manager. I like the manager. I think the manager's really tactically very good.
Don't let Tommy say that.
Yeah, no, this is it. I think he had a really good spell at Southampton or the Scubbers, as he likes to call it, towards the back end of last year. I think pulled off some good results away at Chelsea. I seem to remember Southampton got a good point. So I don't know. Reading are one of those where I don't think any prediction that's going to go out on Reading before the start of the season is going to be wrong, because nobody knows. Because they could, at the end of the window, they could go and sign a load of cracking free agents because they can offer money. Or I don't know, Ben, but I like what they've brought in so far. I like what I see from them.
Again, Shrewsbury, Cheltenham, just quickly. as well. Luke Southwood returned to Cheltenham, very good signing. And Shrewsbury, signed quite well, obviously. You have lost some crucial players, Pennington, Luke Leahy. One thing I think people are slightly forgetting is Danny Dower is back. He was out for pretty much 8 months last year, wasn't he? And all of a sudden, then you've got a goal scorer who could score a goal. We've seen it previously. You've still got other goal scorers alongside. So that's going to be like a new signing for them. And, pretty impressed with Shrewsbury's business. But Matty Taylor's come into the building. Is he better than Cottrell? I'm not sure. Cheltenham again kept Wade Elliott, lost Alfie May. Smallwood's come in. Aidan Keener was scoring goals at the back end. I think he was always going to be Alfie May's replacement. What's your thoughts on this game and both teams' business, if you had to sum it up?
I'm a bigger fan of Cheltenham's recruitment than Shrewsbury's. I look at down the list of Shrewsbury's, and the only one that really stands out for me, and it's just me, is obviously Winchester, who's been there before and was at Sunderland, so knows the level. But Feeney, Sarahara, Parker, your mate Timonense Sobowell, who played for Fleetwood earlier before he signed for Shrewsbury. Noah Kenner, intrigue. Elliot Thorpe, don't know a lot on. Taylor Perry, I did okay.
Jordan Shipley as well, which is
they've got a good squad, but again, they've just not moved with the rest of the division, I feel, and I feel like they're going to struggle. Whereas Cheltenham, again, I understand a lot of people will have them to go down, but I think Rob Street's a pretty good sign, and I think he's what they need. And the reason I don't think Cheltenham will go down, I've ruined another prediction for my 1 to 24. Aidan Keener, I think the replacement for Alfie May is in the building. Scored maybe 5 or 6 goals between January and the end of the season. So for me, I think Cheltenham are always fine, and I think they absolutely will be this season.
What do you think of Wycombe? Matt Bloomfield, obviously new style of play, totally transferring the type of transfers that they've been bringing into the football club. Yeah. And there's plenty to go. Luke Lee is still there. Joe Jacobson's still there. Obviously, had his match dedicated to him yesterday for his length of service. They've still got a very, very decent settled side. They were a bit poor, but I think now he's got his own players in, maybe that'll push them up the table a little bit.
Yeah, really like Wycombe's business. Massive fan of pretty much. I look at every signing and go, you're going to do something for that squad. And Wycombe are in this really important transition period, and they need the players to impact the squad. So Kane Vincent-Young, fantastic right wing back at this level. They're going to pair him with Harry Boyes at left wing back, who was on loan at Lincoln last year from Sheffield United and was fantastic. Or the Wednesday fans, I know they're not going to be here anymore, but Sheffield United player going to Hillsborough and pulling up a 10 out of 10 performance. Luke Leahy, obviously very good. I've got friends in the Man City academy circles. Kian Breckin is apparently a big superstar for Man City in the future. Luke Potts, likewise, was involved in the Europa Conference winning squad when West Ham won that last season. Dale Taylor, you didn't even mention Dale Taylor, had a fantastically productive second half of last season with Burton Albion. I think if you had asked every League One club this season, would you sign Dale Taylor? I think there's maybe only 2 or 3 that wouldn't. I like them a lot. I like Wycombe. My only concern about Wycombe is this transition from Ainsworth to Bloomfield. Bloomfield is very much a possession heavy, get it on the floor, let's try and pass our way around people. Whereas they've got still players like Tafazoli, Jacobson, Grimmer, Stroik. They've still got like Brandon Hanlon and Sam Vokes that's still ingrained in that way. So it's going to take Wycombe a little bit of time. I think Wycombe will be a force in 12 months. Maybe this year is...
Next time to get old habits, and can they move with it? And I think they've got the right manager to do it with, haven't they? Exeter, just finally, before we come into the Q&A, I know obviously we're a little bit over, but Exeter, they've done all right in the window, haven't they? They've lost Collins, they've lost Key, Caprice, Blackman, Nombe, who we all knew was going to go. He's been gone since. So Stansfield obviously was only on loan. We mentioned that they are probably a tad weaker. What have you thought of their kind of ins and outs?
Difficult with Exeter. I think they're perhaps going to have second season syndrome. We've seen a lot of League One clubs go. I'm drastically going through my notes to find my Exeter page. I've gone past it. I like some of them, mate, to be honest. I like Vincent Harper, he had a really good spell with Eastleigh in the National League. And I tell the one that I think a lot of people are going to sleep on this one, actually. But Dion Rankin from Chelsea has tore up trees for the under-21s at Chelsea. He comes with massive rave reviews from their academy setup, and they seem to have a very good academy. Again, they've learned from Brentford. Ryan Trevitt will be interesting to see him. He's very technically midfield. Tom Carroll had that experience. They announced, was it yesterday, Zach Jules has come in on a one-year deal.
He's an experienced centre-half. He's big. He's 6'1".
I think they'll need that. But I imagine maybe having him as a left-sided centre-back next to Vincent Harper or a Denny Mitchell could work really well. The big thing for Exeter, and I know they were only rumours, but Sam Nombe linked with a move away to Charlton in the week. Massive, they'll have to keep him. They can't lose Brown, Stansfield, and Nombe in one season, in one summer. That would be horrific from an Exeter point of view. But look, again, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll figure it out. They've got a good. They're one of the more well-run clubs, aren't they? And they're nice and settled. So for me, I think Exeter should just be about fine.
And Gary Caldwell has a first full season in management. So that is our full roundup. We've gone really detailed. Obviously, we had a couple of minutes on the matches, a couple of minutes on the teams. As we said, we asked for your questions on Twitter and Instagram. So get your comments in as well. For the next 10 minutes, we're just going to fire quick fire questions into the comments. So again, if you put it in the comment section below. But before we do so, Jake has a new channel, Channel 72. The link is in the description. He uploaded his first video. The prediction video is coming out. He is currently on 78 subscribers. There's 55 of you guys in. If we can get him to 100 subscribers in the next few days, I think we've done very well. So go down below and hit subscribe. Jake, tell them about it. Why they should subscribe. The next 30 seconds are yours. Go.
Lee, Channel 72. Can't even get it bloody right myself, Ben. It's going to be covering all 72 EFL clubs in depth and detail. So whether you're a club of a Championship team or a League Two team that we don't cover on tonight's stream or going forward, you will be covered on my channel. We're going to be doing predictions for all the leagues. We've got 1 to 24s that will be coming out this week. I've just got to film and edit them all, which is the fun part. And the main concept of the channel is going to be an EFL 606, so on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening before. I'll make sure it doesn't interrupt with your show and Tom's Falling on Sunday Live as well, mate. That we have an EFL 606. How many times have you been on the radio on the way home from an away day, and it's just Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal fans moaning about the way their clubs run? I'm going to try and give attention to the EFL supporters and try and get them on and hopefully do a bit of a more well thought out 606 rather than shouting, "Oh, the manager's got to go. This is crap. This is rubbish." So yes, I also, if I can, give a shout out to that man there on the screen, Jack. Jack not only is one of my good friends, but is also my barber. He had an operation this week, so hope first of all from us and from everybody, get well soon, Jack. I know he's been in hospital, bored out of his mind the last couple of days. Mate. And also, congratulations, and I hope everything goes well because he has a baby due next week. So, Jack is gone for a bit of a hospital. He's had a really indifferent week, but he's a really good bloke.
Your missus could have planned it. Like, the football season starts next.
I know.
He's done it. 2 weeks off in August.
I was hoping to take him to Knox away in the cup on Tuesday night, but it's a no-go because his missus is going to have the baby. So no, again, I really hope you get better well soon, mate. And I'm sure I want to be back in your barber's chair sooner rather than later.
Channel 72. So go and subscribe. So we've got a few questions from Twitter. And then we'll come. So get your questions in for the next 5 minutes or so. Where would 2022-2023 Plymouth, Ipswich and Wendy finish if they were teleported to this season? It seems that the league has moved on a lot. Would last year's promoted sides do as well? I think it'd be the same order.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I might think Ipswich would win the league if they had a full season like they did, but that's the only change I'd make. What about you?
I would maybe think that Derby might sneak their way into it purely because Derby are just going to grind out so many results and they're really impressive window. I think if they were transported into this league, I think they'd be a lot closer to. I think some of the top teams like Bolton, beg your pardon, Portsmouth and Derby would be points-wise a little bit closer, but I still think it'd be 1, 2, and 3.
Absolutely. Could Fleetwood make the playoffs? After Bill King, I'd say they can. I'm not sure on that. I think there's maybe 7 or 8 clubs like Fleetwood that will think they can. I'm not quite sure on that one. Do you think Lincoln can make the playoffs? Turning it on to you.
Yeah, I do actually. I think this year was the year for the underdog, and I don't think there was a better underdog in League One last year than Lincoln City. So for me, I think if we can start beating the teams towards the bottom end of the table, I think we'll be up there.
Absolutely. A lot of love for Jake, which is good to see going. He's past 80 now, so a few more to go to the 100. With the league looking a lot weaker than last season, who would you choose your team to surprise everyone? Well, I've gone for, if you want to go and see my League One predictions, they are just out on the channel. So I recommend after this stream, go and watch them and let me know. It's doing really well. Thank you for the support on it. I'm going for Burton. I think they'll get into the top 10 picture. I really do. I think they've signed well. They've got a good manager, and no one's really talking of them in my eyes. I also think maybe someone like a Charlton could easily go and win the league or finish in the top 2. I don't understand why that couldn't happen. They've got a good manager, a good squad now. But I think anyone that's weak into the players, maybe someone like a Lincoln, who've got a settled squad, they've got a goal scorer, they're good at the back, not really lost anyone of huge magnitude, bar Regan Poole, who, let's be honest, we all knew he was going to go this summer because Lincoln City have been good for him, but he was good for Lincoln. He deserved his move to the Championship. Unfortunately, a bit like Conor McGrandle's got a bit lost and ended up somewhere totally different. It seems apparent with Lincoln, doesn't it, that? But I moved up north and all of a sudden he's in Charlton. But no, I'd probably say one of those. What about you, Jake?
I think a dark horse that not a lot of people are talking about, Stevenage. Again, like you say, they've got a really good. I've spoken to Matt Farley, who does the Stevenage Football Club podcast. He's a really nice lad, really bubbly personality. He's buzzing for Borough to be back in League One, but they've signed really well. I think Ben Thompson is a Championship midfielder. Couple that with Louis Thompson and Nathan Thompson, 2 really good generals. Dan Butler's a really good signing. I think Stevenage are a number 9 away. A lot of clubs are a number 9 away from being.
Everyone needs a 20-goal season striker, don't they?
Literally, and I think if Stevenage can sign a big physical striker, I don't think there'll be any drop of going down. But I think they're going to surprise a couple of teams. And you got to remember that I think this Stevenage team are going to be similar to that Gillingham side in the COVID season. So, do you know how when we got to the playoffs, Gillingham were literally there banging on the door towards maybe the last 4, 5, 6 games? They came 10th, I think, which was pretty good for them.
They're about 10. They were always they were close to the players, but they played about 3 more games.
Yeah,
4 more games.
I think Stevenage could have a similar season to that, which would then make them a bit of a dark horse.
Yeah. Another one from Twitter was about Bolton Wanderers. The pressure this year, they weren't under too much last year. It was if you get in the playoffs, and great, we've had a good year. Maybe more expectation where the playoffs is the minimum. I think on that one, I think your Bolton Wanderers, you've got 20,000 fans in your ground. There's pressure. You're Bolton Wanderers. You're not, Burton. You're not Fleetwood. You're not Cheltenham. These clubs that are wanting you to stay up and it's a good year. You're Bolton Wanderers. You shouldn't be in League One. You've had a bad few years. You end up in League One for reasons. You've actually been quite not fortunate. I think you've kind of thought, well, League One, we're happy to be in at the moment from where we've been in League Two. They were 19th in League Two, just 18 months ago, weren't they? 2.5 years ago. So I think they've done really well to get where they are. I think there's pressure, but I think Ian Evatt wants that pressure, and it shows you how well they've done in previous years. Ian Evatt, I don't think, has had a bad season in football. He finished mid-table with Barrow in his first season after they nearly went down the season before. Got promoted with a Barrow team that defied the odds. Went to Bolton. Obviously, got promoted. First season in League One. finished, was it 9th on 73 points? Any other season, you're 3 points off the playoffs. They ended up, I think it was 10 points off the playoffs because League One, you had to get 83 points to get into the playoffs. Plymouth missed out on 80. And then last year, they finished in the playoffs. So he's had 5 seasons, and I think he succeeded every year. He gets in the top 6 next year. It's another good season, and I think Bolton have done well.
Yeah, I don't think that he's the type of guy who would recruit players knowing they won't be able to handle that pressure. So I imagine the intense conversations with every player that he signed, because you look at Bolton's squad, every player that is in that squad is an Ian Evatt player.
Yes.
I think he would say, right, you've got the burden, well, not the burden, but the added pressure of playing for by far the biggest club in League Two, one of the bigger clubs in League One, and we have our supporters have an expectation. So I think that comes into play with recruitment. I don't think they'd sign players that will be able to play without pressure. So I don't think the fact that they're going to be not forced, but I think the fact that everyone's talking about them being a top 2 team is going to. I think they're going to revel in it, and I think they're going to absolutely love it. And I think ultimately, well, you'll see in my predictions, but I imagine they're going to smash it this year.
Absolutely. On this, is there a bet between you two? Again, we did one last year. I lost it. We're going to do something. In the comments now, me and Jake need to come up with something. Again, I'm not doing that again. And there's no shirts this year. We might do something that's stream related. So get your comments in. What should we do? Give us some suggestions. Me and Jake will go off air and we'll have a little chat about it and come up with something good and bring it to you guys. But again, suggestions would be welcome. Who do you think will be top goal scorer? I'm going to go for Jonathan Clark-Harris or Alfie May. I think the safe bets. Alfie May is now in a better side. We'll get more opportunities. And I think he'll go and score 20 plus goals.
I'm going to go rogue. I'm going to say Dan and Lunderloo.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got all the physical attributes as well as being able to finish that would just mean bags of goals. And I think he's playing in a Bolton squad that are going to make 6, 7, 8 big chances a game. So I think he's going to get a win in the team. So for me, I'm going to go Dan and Lunderloo.
Them two up front, Bishop and Alundu, can easily go and score 30 to 40 goals between them. All of a sudden then, you probably need, if Bolton are good defensively, you probably only need another 35 goals. And you've got players like Mendes Gomez, your Kyle Dempsey's, your Aaron Morley's,
Rico Santos.
Say again.
Rico Santos.
Yeah.
Score 5-10 goals from corners, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. Cameron Jerome as well. Josh Feeney to Blackpool, not heard that one. If Oxford includes their offer, they won't sign Jack Marriott now. They've signed number of players instead of him, I think, as well. Like I say, we Charlton will get third, need 4 to 5, need more players to win League One. How good will Teo Doom be, Eden be for Charlton? I think it'll be excellent. Again, number of different positions. Tattoo. We've already got a little bit of the tattoo on our League One podcast. If you don't already, go in the description below and follow our brand new League One podcast. Me, Jake, Jack, Tom, the 4 Musketeers. It's carnage. It's not structured. We just go on, speak about League One, and we have a go at hosting. We might not get to my week because he's hosting next week as well. So rest in peace. It's out on Spotify, iTunes, the Google one as well for all you on Android as well. It's on all of them as well. So go and follow whatever you're following. Have a listen. Let us know. We got to 14th in the charts in our first week, and the new episode drops when, Jake?
Tomorrow.
I'm glad you knew that. Again, go in the description below. And if you could subscribe to this channel as well, we are so close now to 11,300. The support in the last couple of weeks has been amazing after a little break. And also, we're close to 50 likes as well. Last couple of questions. As well, we haven't signed any players since we put in the bid in for Jack Marriott. We still need a striker. I don't think you'll get him for the price that Fleetwood want. Fleetwood Town, what we'll want over £1 million from. We're not going to get that because he's not worth that, but he's worth that to Fleetwood Town in goals, and he'll keep Fleetwood Town in League One. And I think that Oxford won't pay that, in my opinion. I'd be surprised if Jack Marriott goes there, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Marriott left the football club in general, because if he's going to score 20 goals, we signed him 6 months ago to score goals for us, a bit like the Paddy Madden situation as well. Barnsley, Oxford, Portsmouth and Blackpool, all on the players, not too far off mine. Great channel, many thanks for putting this on tonight. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with us, Mark, and thank you for all the interaction. Best goalie signs for Blackpool. I think there's many different goalkeepers that are very good. Dan Grimshaw is a option. But we're going to end the show here. Jake, any final words, my friends?
No, obviously the things that I would be plugging is the podcast, that League One podcast. If you could come over and give us a subscribe and a follow and a listen, and if you could tell your mates who are League One fans or fans of League One clubs, that would be great. It's an hour and a little bit more of organised chaos. The last bit this week might be a little bit dull, but we're going to work on that for next week. That's your fault, Wardy. But and then Channel 72, if you could come over, because it's going to be a big week. We've got obviously the 1 to 24 from all the leagues. I have sat up and calculated Championship, League One and League Two, and trust me, it wasn't bloody easy. And then obviously we're going live also next week for the 606. So if we could have as many of you there as possible, that would be absolutely huge. And if you could get involved, come and sub. The link's in the description. And enjoy football on Saturday. It'd be nice to be back. Really,
we are back, and we'll have a new show next week, slightly later time of 8 o'clock next week due to work commitments, and we'll also have a new vlog next week as well. But thank you so much for the 400 or 500 that have watched live, and thank you for those that have watched on the repeat. Obviously, the time codes will be in the description down below. But again, please like this stream on your way out. It does help this channel out more than you all know. Subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends. A big over and out from me, a big over and out from Jake. Jake, any final words?
Says it on this sign, mate.
There you are. Thanks for watching. Up the cards, up the Sky Bet League One. Football is back. Come on, the boys. Up the Sky Bet League One. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your Sunday night. And we'll be back on Sunday for more League One Live.
Up the Imps.
Up the cards.